let's get into the game itself. And again, I know everyone's kind of has mixed emotions here. It's that whole moral victory thing mixed with the, wow, it really felt like, if you're a fan, really felt like you were going to, pull this one out, and then just to have it end so abruptly. So yes, we can get into Brady's performance. Yes, we can get into Mac's performance and the team in general trending in a much more positive direction after a horrible effort a week ago against the Saints. But I'm going to start at the end here and just talk to you about the decision to go for the field goal, which, it's not a hindsight thing. I thought I didn't fathom they would try a field goal of that length. I thought for sure from that distance, that was 4 down territory without question.
Right.
And Bill asked about it in the post game, said, I didn't even think about it. I really, I don't want to get into all of the win probabilities. And I know coaches don't go by all of this stuff, and you see the metrics online, 55% versus 51% and a blah, 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 and this and that. Just if you factor everything in, it makes more sense, I would think, to a kicker who has a bum plant leg in tough weather, and God, he drilled it. So Folk didn't do anything wrong. He drilled it, and then Tom Brady waiting on the other side of it with a minute left on the clock. It would seem that you would want to try to get closer without even really hesitating. Even if you make it, you might lose. So I don't know, just your thoughts on the decision. I was stunned that that's what happened, and credit to Folk. He drilled it and just missed it, and it was really close, and it could have been a happy ending. It was not, but this isn't hindsight. At that time, I could not believe it.
Well, at the time, I definitely was scratching my head a little bit as to why they wouldn't go there and try to get into a more favorable field goal range, especially run the clock, Brady a minute left, all these types of things. I definitely do agree with you. We spoke to Nick Folk after the game, and his confidence of making that kick was sky high. He said that they made from 58 yards in warmups. He told the coaches that I need to be within that 54 to 56 range and I'm good to go. He thought he hit the ball extremely well. It just didn't go through. Right. Yeah. And I think that this is one of those situations where Belichick is trusting a veteran kicker in Nick Folk, who's been extremely good for the team for the last couple of years, and thought that they had enough to make the kick. And the hindsight thing is always 2020, because the kick, it wasn't like he didn't have the leg to make the kick, right? The leg was there. The ball traveled far enough for the kick to go through. It was just a little off. And the one thing I would second guess out of the decision was the Patriots decided to punt right before the half.
That's the other one. You stack them both up. That one was
right.
That one was first.
If you're going to beat Tom Brady, it does feel like you have to go for it at least one of those 2 times, right? You can't play conservative both times. And I didn't have as much of a problem with the one at the end of the game to kick the field goal, but the one before the half, not only does the math support going for it 110%, it also felt like a little bit too conservative going up against the quarterback like that. I think they just didn't want to blow what was a really good half. They played a really good half on D, so I'll give you that.
And you're totally right. With the thinking was, God, if we serve this up and they march it down our throat, score a touchdown, that's going to take wind out of the sails. I know coaches consider more than just math when they make their decisions. I think they're thinking this would be a really deflating end to a half that we've played tightly. So I want to preserve the goodwill and the good vibes, because that's what I think the team needs. And I get that. So that's fine. That's one thing. But it's exactly that. I'm tired of these things being referred to as conservative when you don't do them and gutsy when you do. It's just smart versus stupid sometimes.
So the field goal at the end, the Nerds did support kicking the field goal. One of the only times that the Nerds support kicking.
I have seen nerds that disputed the field goal.
So
I have analytics that say it was 55-51.
So the ESPN stats and info numbers So the ESPN stats and info numbers, Mike Reese just tweeted them just now. Field goal win probability, 42.2%. Go for it win probability, 34.7%. So ESPN has a clear kick the field goal in the math in that situation. The play before it, I think, is more to me what was even more of a backbreaker because Jacoby Myers was wide open in the middle of the field. They ran a little rub concept out of a stack. It worked beautifully.
And
Hunter
it
Henry
just got
got him open,
wide
and
open.
it got batted down at the line of scrimmage. If Jacoby catches that, he's got a 10, 12-yard gain, and then
a
we're
chip
really
shot
in
field
business.
goal. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but I think what it boils down to is something that Devin McCourty just said to us after the game. The Patriots have flashes of being a really good football team. They had a great game plan on defense tonight. They executed it extremely well. They held Tom Brady to 19 points. One of his worst games statistically as a Buck was tonight against this Patriots defense. They had a great plan. They executed extremely well. I thought the offense looked more in rhythm, looked better at times, had some two legit touchdown drives, incorporating the tight ends, throwing the football to Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers on the outside. Some real building blocks from this team tonight. But the winning plays, the little things, the mistakes that shoot yourself in the foot, the penalty on Matthew Slater, the fumble by JJ Taylor, these are the plays or the mistakes, I guess you could call them, that winning football teams don't make this often, right? They just don't make them this many times. And this team has become, since really the start of last year, a team that has just 2 or 3 fatal errors that just absolutely kill them. JJ Taylor, the Patriots are already in field goal range. They've got great field position. They played the field position game and they did it perfectly. And they get the ball into field goal range, and JJ Taylor fumbles on that play, and the whole momentum, the whole energy just sapped right out of the stadium. And I want to give Patriots fans a ton of credit. This was a great crowd tonight. And I felt like the crowd, in fact, really drove this Patriots team to almost pull off this upset, because this was not a pro Brady crowd. Right. This was not a let's all cheer Tom for 4 straight quarters. They were booing Tom at times. And yeah, it was probably a Bronx boo, right? It was probably kind of a fake, you're the enemy now type of boo. But overall, I really thought that the crowd kept the Patriots afloat in this game energy wise. And it was so close to being exactly how they pictured it. A low scoring game, great defense, great game planning, good coaching. I thought even on offense, we've come on this show after games and really ripped Josh McDaniels quite a few times on this program. I thought tonight his game planning and his ability to recognize that the run plays were not working and to let Matt Cook in the second half to draw up some of those trick plays when they did were very timely calls of those plays. And they were really, really close tonight. But it's just 3 or 4 errors just kill you.
If I'll quibble with one set of play calls, I'm going to say after the trick play with Jacoby Myers down to the 10, they didn't really try to get it into the end zone. I know Mac forced one in there under pressure, but the next 2 plays were a little conservative, I think, playing for the field goal. I will also say, for what it's worth, NextGen Stats, if you go for it, 35%. If you kick the field goal, 24%. With the make increasing their chances to 45 versus 52 if you converted. So again, there was stats out there that supported strongly, also not. So it's a jumble, I guess. ESPN has its own NextGen
It's
Stats.
A toss-up, right?
NextGen Stats had it actually very decidedly a better decision to go for it. And again, I think you have to factor in giving the Brady the ball back, but both between that and the punt was the other thing.